What's up, all you beautiful Pokemon fans? I'm your host, PokeNoob, or Keegan, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Jill
Hello.
and Ian,
What's up?
and we are the PokeNoob Podcast. So we have our usual events planned for today. Before I get into that, I just want to know how you guys are doing. How was your week, Ian?
It's been pretty good. Decent amount of news coming out, and hopefully getting the Vivid Voltage box sometime soon. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, dude, that'll be awesome. I think that's, mid-November-ish that's finally coming out. I feel like it's a lot sooner than it is, but I'm excited too. Jill, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just living life. I don't know,
Vibing
same
out here?
same usual stuff I've been doing.
Nice. Taking care of Jirachi and whatnot. All right, so we have a pretty exciting episode planned for you guys today. We're gonna start off normally with Poke News of the Week with Ian. He's got some exciting stuff for us there. Then we're gonna roll into On the Hunt with Jill as normal. And then after that, we got some pretty exciting stuff for TCG Talk as well. Jill had an idea to do as well as I did, and we're gonna attack both of those ideas, so that should be fun. After that, we're going to hit our break, open some cards, what did Jirachi do this week, and then our GottaCatchEm'All Pokemon Products. So we're going to hop right into it. Ian, what you got for Poke News of the Week?
So this week on Pokemon News of the Week, it comes into relation of what we did last week. So prominent social arb investor Chris Camillo of dumbmoney.tv has finalized a $375,000 purchase related to a first edition Pokemon box set, which sets a Pokemon card record by a substantial margin. So the transaction will be live streamed Tuesday, October 27th at 12 p.m. Eastern on the Dumb Money Live YouTube channel. At that time, Camilo and the sellers will also announce the historic way to break this box. This comes in relation to last week's, wherein rapper Logic had bought a 1999 first edition holographic Charizard graded at PSA 10 for $220,000. So it really is a massive difference and a very steep incline. Although Camilo did buy an entire box or set of boxes, from what I understand, he put out numerous offers to in-person and digital dealers. This comes in surprise, mainly because Camilo is not doing it for himself, but rather for a family foundation that he founded, which is dedicated to pediatric causes. All the proceeds from the box break will go to the foundation itself, and Camilo will not be keeping any of the cards himself.
So yeah, that's awesome. The fact that he's going to be spending all that money for Pokemon cards, and he's not even going to keep them. Might as well donate him because he's an awesome guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely interesting simply based off of how fast the prices for these cards are rising. I think the more news we see, and Camilo said this himself, is that over time he believes that the scarcity in these older cards and sets themselves will, they'll drastically increase in price due to the scarcity. So he believes his $375,000 purchase will be eclipsed shortly with many others, especially with celebrities getting involved, trying to purchase boxes at the same time. So it's an interesting increase. A lot of cards should be going up in price, and it does bring a lot of money and fame towards the entire Pokemon trading card community. So that's nice.
Yeah, and this has been a pretty popular topic going on recently, is all these big ballin' investors coming into the Pokemon world and spending all this money. Is it really a good thing for those who, might not have this money? Maybe because they could have these cards from collecting so long ago, and then the fact that they're raising in all this price could potentially be pretty darn awesome for those people. But I also wanted to say, I was looking a bit into this article you were reading. He was doing this mainly to bridge the world of investing to a world of collecting, because it's more fun, and it brings the Pokemon community and the investing community together, as he said himself. So yeah, I'm interested to see that. All these investors and people who know they're going to make money are starting to get into Pokemon cards and makes the world a bit more fun.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're doing charity with this money. You know, they're having these cards. I mean, other people have done it too, where they've raised money from Pokemon cards to donate to different charities, and I think that's a really nice thing to do.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, he knows himself that these cards are worth, a whole ton of money. So the fact that he knows that and is going to donate them, that's awesome. It's a really awesome thing to do. So yeah, I'm not sure where to check that stream out. Let me see here. So Dumb Money Live YouTube, October 27th, Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Check that out, guys. He's going to be making a world record transaction here. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be tuning into that. But yeah, anything else, Ian?
No, that seems to be it. I mean, we've covered it for the most part. It's really interesting that he's getting into spending this much money for cards. It's even better that he's doing it for charity. And overall, just bringing more popularity to the scene is exactly what a lot of people would love to see.
Yeah, as long as you guys are good people, hop into this community because we need you. We don't want this Pokemon community dying out. But yeah, that was good for Poke News of the Week. Definitely a pretty exciting topic. We've been talking about this for a little bit now. Last week we were talking about all these guys getting into the Pokemon trading card game world. But yeah, I'm interested to see what else is going to happen with all these big buck purchases. But moving on with that, we got a nice segment with Jill on the hunt. Let's get it going. What you got?
Okay, so this week I have an Etsy shop called Hand Paint Converse Art, and what they do is they do mini crochet Pokemons. So there's a whole bunch of different ones here. I mean, my favorite that I see that he has up on his shop is the Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. It's just all three of them. He does a whole different bunch of types of Pokemon, and you can even request a custom order. So if there's a type that you want or your favorite that isn't on here, you can always ask the shop owner to make them for you. There's also, I wanted to say, a 20% off code that he mentions it at the top of his shop. It's off 20, so if you buy from him, you can get that. And everything is really nicely priced. They run for about $12 to $15 for an individual Pokemon. And then, like I said, I think it's really cool that he has all these cute little, I don't know, crochets, especially if you like collecting and you like to have just different Pokemon stuff on a desk or on a shelf. Just a nice little thing to add to your collection.
Yeah, I think this is a really cool addition to Jill's On the Hunt segment. A lot of these guys are actually in pretty good detail. It reminds me of the trading cards they actually make with, they do a little yarn Pokemon sometimes with a cool background. But I wanted to say my favorite is this evolution line of Charizard. You can get the little baby Charizard into a Charmeleon and then a Charizard. That's pretty awesome. And they're not even that expensive. So yeah, shout out to Hand Paint Converse Art. What do you think about these, Ian?
I would say my favorite is the Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. To be honest, at first I wasn't 100% sure what I was looking at. It almost looked like different variations of Torchic, in my opinion. But after looking at them, honestly, I'd be down to buy something like that. Having cute little knitted legendary birds it'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, they're cool looking. So shout out to you, Hand Paint Converse Art. Definitely check out his shop on Etsy. Get some cute little plushy crochet pals. All right. So yeah, that was On the Hunt with Jill. Good job with that. But we're gonna hop right into our main part of the show here, TCG Talk, and Jill's gonna start this one off.
Okay, so I thought it would be a good idea that for this week we pick the top three cards that we've pulled and go into detail of why we like them and why they're our favorite cards. So I'm going to start off first. My first card is actually a promo card. It's the Promo EVGX. The reason I picked this card is basically for the art. I just think it's one of the most funniest arts I've seen with the cards. I mean, it's a chubby little Eevee having this cute little like derpy face on it. I don't know, it looks like it's like breathing out air or something. And yeah, I mean, as a playable card, it's pretty cool because you can use it. It's a common, so you can use it with any, deck that you want with any element. One of the abilities is that if you have a card that evolves from Eevee, you can put that card down to evolve it, and then before you do, you can heal all damage from this Pokemon. So that's pretty good to have a nice card, and you can use any of the, evolutions. And yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a pretty standard. It has 100 damage move, it has 160 hit points. And the GX move's decent. You put 3 cards down from your discard pile into your hand. Costs 1 colorless energy. Yeah, that's all I have to say about the Eevee GX.
Yeah, I thought that card was pretty funny looking. I remember when Jill picked it out from the store, she just couldn't help buying that because of its little face. But it's a little bit of a flex card because it's actually not that bad. You get to flex that funny face, and then you can evolve this right into any evolution. Jolteon, Vaporeon, you throw that right on there and get back in action with a full health Pokemon, so that's cool. What you got for number 2?
So, and this goes with all the cards I pulled. Most of them are not really move based, but more so of just the aesthetic of the card. I have a Rainbow rare Tapu Fini GX. I think it was the first rainbow rare card that I pulled. And with this card, it's actually a pretty decent playing card. The Hydro Shot, it discards 2 water energies from the Pokemon. It does 120 damage to one Pokemon, which is pretty good for a, move. And then, I mean, the first move is pretty basic. It just does 20 damage and you can switch it out. But I mainly picked this card just because that it's a rainbow rare, and I do like Tapu Fini. Yeah, I don't know what set this is from though, so I can't tell you that. So anyways, my first card, or my final card I should say, is a golden tag call. And this is my only golden card I have. I also like it just because of the fact that you can search up to your deck for 2 tag team cards and then reveal them and then put them in your hand, which is awesome, especially if you're like me and you play a fire deck and you have Rashirard and you want to throw that down. You can definitely do that with this card, and I just love the look. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I love it. It has that hollow background to it when you move it in the light. And it's just a really cool card. I mean, I like the golden cards. I think I even might like them a little bit more than the rainbows.
Yeah, this tag call is actually pretty effective because, you can pull that Charizard and Reshiram out, but then you can also pull out a tag team trainer. So, those 2 in hand are, pretty effective.
Yeah, that's, like I said, that's why one of the reasons I like this card anyways. Well, that's it with what I have to say. Ian, what do you have up on deck?
So, for the top 3 cards that I have pulled, I don't actually have too many amazing cards. I have only recently started getting back into collecting Pokemon cards themselves. But
Which is fine.
yeah, I used to back in the day, but nowadays I'm even happier to do it because there's much cooler illustrations for these cards, and there's a lot of high risk, high reward, even more so than I felt like there was back then. Maybe that could be the fact that it's been so long that I don't really remember the high risk, high reward, but with the addition of these V tag team cards, GX, EX, even the VMAX, it's a lot more fun. But anyways, to start off, I've got the Torkoal V.
Nice.
It's not an insanely good card, but for a fire deck, having started out with this card, I was really happy to pull it. The reason why is mainly due to its second move. It is a little harder to set up as it is 4 energy, but Steam Crash, which does 120 damage every time you use it, is not only really good. I mean, most cards you're going to 2-shot with doing damage such as that, and it being at Torkoal being at 210 HP allows it to, more often than not, be able to get off 2 hits. But also being able to discard 2 energy from your opponent's active Pokemon can be a game changer and quite a pain in the butt to deal with. Every time I have to go up against the Torkoal V, that's the number one thing I'm worried about. On top of the first move, which is Combustion Pillar, if the person is lucky enough to discard a fire energy that turn using that attack, the attack can do 180 damage. So, say you've got Torkoal V with only 3 energy, you decide to use Combustion Pillar, you get a nice little discard of the fire energy there, you're already hitting for 180, and then the very next turn you throw 1 more energy on top, and now you've just done 300 damage in 2 turns, and you're still sitting pretty at 210 HP, hopefully. That's quite a big advantage to give yourself right there, and that is why I love this card so much. The graphic itself is actually really cool, but more so the moveset of this card.
Yeah, I love this card. That Steam Crush is just so powerful. I know Jill plays this card a lot too, and every time she whips it out, I get a little bit nervous. But you got to remember too, Ian, there's the welders, obviously, so getting that energy on isn't as hard as you think it'd be.
Very true. I don't play fire decks too often, so when I do get to see the welders, that is a massive relief, and being able to set Torkoal up is actually much easier than it would be for other types.
Yeah, 'cause you could get 3 energy on there in 1 turn.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So, for my next card, I was lucky enough to have not only pulled a Crobat V, but I also was able to pull the Crobat V full art, and I believe they're both full art, so could you quickly tell me why, or what is the difference between this? Now, would I call this a foil, or...
No, I believe foil just means it has some sort of holographic-esque to it, but the full art means you have those textures on the card.
Okay.
You can see the divots and the lines, and like Jill's Tapu Fini Rainbow was a full art. Those cards you can feel.
Okay, so yeah, I was lucky enough to have pulled a Crobat V full art. Of course, one of the reasons I chose this card was for the graphic itself, but it seems as though, and I learned this from the online trading game, having gotten a lot of Crobat Vs that I traded right out for, other cards, trying to build up my decks themselves. The reason why people seem to love this card so much is that it plays in perfectly with Eternatus V and VMAX. So when you have the VMAX, you are able to get, 8 cards out on your bench?
It's up to 6.
I'm talking about Eternatus.
Oh, Eternatus, yeah, you can have up to 8 on the bench,
Yeah.
I believe. Or maybe it's 10. Hold on, let me check.
I think it's 8.
So it is 8, yeah.
Yeah. So the combination of Eternatus and Crobat is one that goes hand in hand with each other. So if you're able to open yourself up to having 8 cards on your bench, you can then play Crobat and draw 6 cards. As long as that's the last card that you were able to throw out, you can immediately pull 6 more in. Or, say you've got 2 or 3 cards and you're hoping for, a Hail Mary. You could easily pull 2 or 3 more that might be able to save you in case you're in a dire situation. But the other really nice aspect to this card is that it's got a 70 damage move in Venomous Fang, and it is only 2 energy, and it puts the active Pokemon to being poisoned. So that in itself is really nice. This card just has a good amount of utility to it, and it's just an overall beautiful card at the same time. Not to mention its
Yeah,
retreat cost is only 1 energy as well, so you can easily throw this in and out and continue using the ability.
and that the main ability that can be used in any single deck because people aren't really using it for the type itself or the move. They're just using it to draw cards, draw support like Dedenne GX. People always have Crobats and Dedenne GXs in pretty much every single deck. So if you don't have the cards you want, you always got either Dedenne or Crobat to help you get them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely a cool pull.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with the fact that I've got both of them, but now I can only hope that they come out with a Crobat VMAX so I can get an absolute setup going for my dark decks, because I did also pull the Eternatus V. Not the VMAX yet, sadly, but I was more in favor of the Crobat.
At least there is that VMAX, V and VMAX collection if you ever need it for Eternatus.
Yeah, very true. That the same one that you picked up at Walmart.
Yeah.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that if I do spot one at any moment.
But yeah, that was a pretty sweet pull. You got any opinions on that Crobat, Jill?
Well, I just know that it's a really good card, very sought out after card.
All right, so what you got for your number one pick?
So the number one pick I have would be Dragapult V, and it ties in with the VMAX card as well. So the reason I love these two cards is the fact that they are psychic, and I absolutely love the versatility of psychic decks, and these two cards just continue that same type of playing process and playstyle that you can have with psychic decks. So the main thing with Dragapult V when you were able to throw him out is that if the Pokemon is moved from your bench to the active spot and you have 2 energies attached to it, you do an additional 80 damage. And to me, for a move that's only 2 energy, that is a pretty massive advantage right there. I mean, the card's sitting at 210 HP, so being able to not only have a retreat cost of 1 energy, but also being able to hit the opponent for 140 damage as soon as you send it in, I mean, that has to be...
It's pretty massive.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's a very good move. Sadly, it cannot go past 60 damage once you already have him out, but like I said, the retreat cost is only 1 energy, so you could do just like what you would do with Crobat, pull it in and then throw it back out again the very next turn. As long as you've got 1 more energy, you're going to be throwing out 140 damage pretty often. Of course, you'd have to wait until the next turn to pull it out and then throw it back in, but you could always set up another card, Crobat, if you were able to do some type of Dark and Psychic deck combination. In my opinion, those 2 cards right there would go really well with each other. I'm not sure how good Dark and Psychic would be together, but just, since we're talking about it and off the top of my head, I don't see how that would be that bad of a combination.
Yeah.
And then for the VMAX, it sits at a massive 320 HP. I'm not sure if that is... I'm pretty sure that's standard for most VMAX cards, 320 HP. It's about the average, I'd say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 320 is around the average for VMAXs.
Yeah. So it sits at the average HP pool. But the cool thing about it is that, so with only 1 energy, you can immediately start doing 60 damage to the opponent. And the attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So, that would, and this is sort of a question to you, Keegan, this would kind of deny any sort of...
Yeah, so say if I wanted to give you an example, say Stunfisk V, for an example. When you attack him, he does a certain amount of damage counters on you. So if Dragapult were to hit Stunfisk V, he wouldn't be taking that ability damage.
Okay. So, yeah, that's a really good move right there, then. And the fact that it's only 1 energy can really help you out. I mean, it seems like it would be a counter to Stunfisk V at that point then. And I'm sure there's a couple other cards that you'd be able to counter with that exact same move. But what I really like is the top move towards it, which is the Max Phantom, which is only 2 energy. It's 130 damage, and then you also put 5 damage counter on your opponent's benched Pokemon in any way you like. So not only every turn are you doing 130 damage to the active Pokemon, but you can do up to 50 damage, or, they hit 1 for 20 or 1 for 30 or 40 and 10 or 10 to 5 different Pokemon every turn, which can really start to add up, especially if you don't have an immediate solution to Dragapult VMAX. And I mean, if you're adding anything onto it to try and make sure that it can stay around as long as possible, this card has to be an absolute pain in the butt to play against. And it is, really.
Yeah, this that move is definitely very effective for those smaller one prize card decks because, they're preying on those certain Pokemon they have on their bench, but they don't have that much health, so Dragapult VMAX is taking out those supporters pretty quick.
Exactly. And so then the last thing would be that it also has a 1 retreat cost or a 1 energy retreat cost. So that I'm also not sure if that is standard amongst the VMAX cards, but I'm fairly certain that it's not.
Yeah, I don't think they usually have too low of a retreat cost, but the V also had a retreat cost of 1.
Exactly. So if at any point you're not feeling like Dragapult is your solution to winning, then you can easily pull him out and go with a different strategy. So I think
Right.
this card just really does hammer in the absolute versatility of certain psychic decks. It's really interesting to see how some people would like to play with this card, and that's why it's my number 1 pick.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that your top 3 definitely includes a good amount of very effective cards. I wasn't expecting much of a aspect on the game for these top 3 of our collection, but yeah, you really brought it in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my top 3. I got a few here. Starting off with my number 3, um, not playable for me, but I have the Amazing Rare Raikou from the Legendary Heartbeat set from Japan. I chose this one just because, they're really hard to get. You get one of them per booster box. And then I just found this Raikou here to be, I don't know, a lot prettier than some of the other amazing rares. The rainbow part has some sort of swirl going around the whole card, and I just love that glittery texture that you can see. And it's just like each part just splits into smaller areas, and I don't know. I love the detail they put into these cards, and it's very beautiful to me. I'm not sure what the actual move is. I would have to see that. But I am excited for Vivid Voltage for this reason because I know they're releasing amazing rares in that set as well. That's going to be something new to America. So that's going to be awesome. But I also have another card that shared my number 3 spot, and it was one we were actually talking about last week, but it is the Rainbow Rare. I pulled a Rainbow Gardevoir VMAX from my Champions Path packs. And this one, everybody knows, well, we know that it's a very effective card when it comes to the game. You got those healing suspicious tins, and then you got its move, the heal 50 damage while you're doing 180 damage. So yeah, Gardevoir VMAX is definitely one of my top 3. I have so many cards, it was hard for me to choose. So I don't know if it's, actually my top 3, but I had to put it up there because it's definitely something to talk about today. Um, yeah, those are my number 3 spots. Moving into my number 2, I have my Reverse Hollow Charizard. This is sadly not from the base set, but it's from the X and Y Evolution set. And I'm looking at prices for it, and a PSA 10 is up there in price. I'm seeing like 600 to 700 range sometimes. Sometimes a little bit lower than that, but those were sold months ago, so especially with these base set openings by all these famous people, I chose this one because, it's not the same thing, but it's pretty darn similar. makes me happy to see. I put this in one of my top loaders. I think that's what they call them, those more secure sleeves. I got a few of those, so these cards I've been saying are in them. And then going into my number one spot, I have my Golden Lunala. I pulled this from a booster box I got from a local card shop. It was Ultra Prism. And this card just meant a lot to me. I don't have a lot of golden cards, Pokemon especially. I think it might be one of my only golden Pokemon cards. But yeah, it's in really good shape. I have this one in a top loader as well. And I actually heard from Ian, he was actually researching this card when I first pulled it. He said something about this guy who also had pulled it after opening hundreds and hundreds of packs of this set. And it was funny because I actually pulled it on my like third pack from the booster box I got. But he was saying just to hold on to it because you never know what sort of price this card can raise to in the future. And that just gives me high hopes for it and definitely puts it at my number one spot. Guys, got any opinion on this gold here?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, with the fact that we've been talking about it recently, last two Pokemon news segments have been about it. Saving cards that you feel will increase in price over time or uh, rarity is definitely something to consider. It's almost the reason why people got into sports cards years and years ago, holding on to sports cards probably 30 or 40 years ago, and to this day some are worth, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. So when it comes to Pokemon, we're looking at basically the same trend. So a card such as this is going to be special for a long, long time. I mean, it's a full golden, very useful card, even in today's meta, especially in today's meta since it's actually so new. Over time, I'm sure it may fade out, but the fact that it's all golden and it's also a legendary, I mean, it's very interesting, and I'm sure somebody will want it later down the line.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing PSA 10's going for like 250 right now, but it's still relatively new. It's not standard, but it just fell out of standard format. So, if you wanted to play this card and expand it, it's got some fun moves. You have an ability where as often as you like during your turn, you can move a psychic energy from one of your Pokemons to another. So this would go hand in hand with Ian's Dragapult decks over there. And then you got to move Moongeist Beam for 4 energies. It does 120 damage. And then the defending Pokemon can't be healed during your Pokemon's next turn. So this could go hand in hand with facing my number 2 pick, or number 3 pick, Gardevoir VMAX. Because, all that healing, you can stop it, put an end to it. And then its GX move for 3 Psychic Energies. You can knock out one of your opponent's basic Pokemon that isn't a Pokemon GX. So just a free knockout. Doesn't matter how much health that basic has, you can just get it out of the game. So it's a pretty fun card, and it's very pretty. Love those golden textures. And that's going to be my top 3 for this week. But moving on with that, I was thinking we should do a little segment this week about fairy cards. Everybody knows that fairy cards are sadly kind of dead already and still in the process of dying. It's sad to see, but for example, the Gardevoir we were talking about used to be a fairy card and now it's psychic, so you can see that they're not making them anymore. I also think they stopped making fairy energies as a whole. I think they may have put them in the Champion's Path set just for the holographic ones, but I'm not positive about that. But yeah, fairy as a whole is dying, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna pick each of us are gonna pick a card, a fairy card that we thought was interesting or meant something to us, and yeah, just to kind of, you know, let us remind you guys that fairy cards are still there. So my pick, and it's actually still in standard format, so this one isn't 100% dead yet. But I picked the Togepi and Cleffa and Igglybuff GX tag team. The reason I picked this is because, it's an awesome card. You got 3 Pokemon on there, first of all, that are, I think they call it the baby tag team. But It's a bunch of cuties, and they do a lot of fun moves. For example, you got Rolling Panic, two fairy energies and one colorless. It does 120 damage, and then you get to keep flipping coins until you get a tails. It does 30 damage for each heads until you get that tails. And this move can be very effective for, top cards right now, like ADP. He's weak to fairies, and I've actually been killed by this guy when playing ADP. So I know that it's still, prominent for today's standard format. So yeah, along with that, we have the Supreme Puff GX. This one takes two fairy energy cards to get going. You get to take a whole another turn after this one. Now, this can be helpful in some ways. Say you notice something that your opponent can do your next turn, but you kind of stop it because you get to go again. So yeah, you can also add 14 extra fairy energy cards to this, and you're able to shuffle all of your opponent's bench Pokemon and all the cards attached to them into their deck. Now, I don't know how possible this is just because we know fairies don't have that sort of acceleration like fire does or, any other uh, energies. For example, you can't use turbo patches with these because it's a GX and those are for non-GXs. So, yet again, I don't know how possible it is for getting these extra energies on, but if you can, that would be a lot of fun just to see all those Pokemon fly back into your opponent's deck. So, yeah, that is my pick for my fairy card this week. What do you got for us, Ian?
So for my fairy card pick, I wasn't too sure what to pick for this, mainly due to the fact that I don't really use fairy types too often. I was a little saddened by the fact that they are going to be sort of phased out over time after only recently getting introduced, and by recently I mean probably last like 2 years, right? Is when they were actually, you know,
Yeah, I'd say about a year ago they really started falling
yeah.
out.
So the thing is that I never really got a chance to see any of these cards, but one I did get a chance to see online that I was a pretty decent fan of, only because it caught me off guard with how it can play, is the Xerneas basic card. So the card itself has a very nice graphic to it. It is very appealing to the eye, and that's for sure. But I do love the very first move that it has, and that is a a move that allows it to set up the rest of its team pretty fast, and that is Geomancy. So Geomancy only requires one energy to be used, and you get to choose two of your bench Pokemon, and for each of those Pokemon, you search your deck for a fairy type energy and attach it to those two Pokemon. And then you, of course, shuffle your deck. But this allows you to set up your deck in a multitude of ways, and it can be really good for early play. So it reminds me of the what is the card that you use all of the time in your fire decks, Keith, that allows you to get energies out really fast?
Oh, the Volcanion.
Yeah, Volcanion.
Volcan. I think it's Volcanion.
Yeah. So it basically feels like a fairy version of that card. And stat wise, it's not too far off from it either. From what I remember, Volcanion, whatever you would like to say, is around 100 and I think it's 140 HP. This is about the same, so most moves you'll be able to take at least one or two hits from. And then on top of that, it does have a decent secondary move wherein you can add a couple energies to it if you would like, instead of just using it as a setup or a stall card. And you can get a little bit of extra damage off. Now, I wouldn't really recommend using this move too often, simply because Rainbow Spear, which is what it is called, only does 100 damage, and that's with 3 energies. But on top of that, you also need to discard an energy after using the attack, which can become a major pain in the butt if you don't have a bunch of fairy energies that you can really just throw away, especially on a card that's not extremely powerful. I would just say this has to be a really good card for setting up the rest of your deck for play.
Right.
So that is why I chose this card.
Yeah, and this kind of contradicts what I was saying about my fairy card, I was saying, I'm not even too sure about many cards that can get that energy acceleration, and you kind of proved me wrong a little bit. Xerneas, he's setting up the bench with that fairy energy, and that's very helpful.
Yeah, it's a shame he doesn't have a little bit more health to him because I think Xerneas could be
Honestly,
an
I think
amazing setup card.
Volcanion only has 120, maybe.
120. Yeah, see that's what I was thinking. It was either between 120 or 140, but I wasn't positive on it.
Yeah, but if you can
But
get this one out first, you got a better chance of setting up and then getting out.
yeah, exactly. But if you don't get it until mid to late game, it's at that point it's not going to be that useful, especially with all of these tag team GX, EX, VMAX cards.
Yeah, you'll
The
get one
chances
shot right
of
out of
being
there.
able to survive 130 damage at mid to late game is, especially if you're playing expanded, is not a real possibility.
Yeah, so definitely use your quick balls, get that Xerneas out. All right, so that was pretty awesome for Ian's fairy card. Now we're gonna roll into Jill. What you got?
So I picked the Sylveon GX, and that's from Sun and Moon's Guardian Rising. And the reason I picked this card was, well, I really like the GX move. It kind of goes into similar to the card that Keegan picked. But for one fairy energy, you can search your deck up for 3 cards and then put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck, which is already nice to start off with. You can pick out whatever cards you want or need to set up this Pokemon or your others. And then the next attacking move, which is Fairy Wind, this only does 110 damage for one fairy and 2 colorless. So I don't really think that's the main move. I think really if you're going to play this card, you probably want to do the GX because it's you take 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon and all the cards that are attached to them and put them into their hand. So if you are either starting up a game or even towards the end, you can just completely, wipe off that what they have on their bench. And if they're, setting up these big crazy cards and everything, you can just completely knock them down. And I think that's a really good move, honestly. And even to go in what I was talking about earlier with our cards, I think it was the Eevee card that I was talking about. You can have that with this deck and use again putting cards back into people's deck, which is just, I think, can really set somebody back.
Yeah, and I didn't even actually realize that, your card from earlier does go hand in hand with this. You get Eevee out there, start doing a little bit of damage, get beat up, and you just put Sylveon on top, and he's full health, back in shape. And then, yeah, like Joe was saying, that GX move, putting 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon and all cards attached to them into their hand, very effective because, if you start noticing, some Pokemon on the bench getting built with like 4 or more energies, that's going to be a problem later. But, if they're not paying attention for your GX move, you could just restart them, and that's awesome. Now, this does go to their hand, so they still will have those cards, but obviously, 1 energy placement a turn, it's going to take a long time to get set back up.
Yeah, plus, like, if it's a card that has to evolve and it has certain energy, it's gonna be a pain because you have to put the one card down and then wait another turn. And that's 2 benched Pokemon, so it's gonna take a little bit for them to build it back up.
Yeah, for example, I'm thinking of Scorch VMAX, that's a Pokemon that people are just trying to put as much energy as they can on it because it does more damage per energy. And the fact that it's a VMAX as well, you break it down from that evolution, you break down all that energy, and they're having to reset. So that's a cool pick. So yeah, that was our little bit of a fairy memorial for TCG Talk today. We just wanted you guys to, remember that they're still out there. Before we end TCG Talk for today, I just wanted to mention for you guys that don't know, there are leagues at home I know a lot of you guys were in your leagues before this whole Corona thing started happening, and a lot of people's leagues are still shut down from going to publicly or actually going to the store and playing. So I realized I found this out on my own actually. When I was looking at the Pokemon Play website, you're able to use this little store locator and it'll tell you what, card shops near you actually have leagues. I was looking through that and I realized a card shop that's near me has a league at home, and I was, wondering what that was. After I did, I hopped in this league and I've been playing with these guys and having a lot of fun. I actually went 7-0, not to flex on my last time I participated, but yeah, it's just been a lot of fun just meeting these peoples, talking decks, and battling it out. So yeah, thank you for listening to TCG Talk, but we're gonna take a little break and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back, guys. So, as usual, we're gonna hop into some card openings. We're gonna start off with Jill. She's got a Sun and Moon Burning Shadows. I'm gonna pull that Rainbow Charizard.
Okay, here we go. Let's hope it's easier this week.
I'm betting on the psychic energy.
It's gonna be. What do you think, Keegan?
Go Electric.
Okay. Alright, it's a psychic energy.
3 for 3.
I know. Alright, first we have a Wishful Baton. Wishful Baton. Okay. Next we have Wick, or Wiki. Then we have a Lunatone, a Porygon, a Alolan Rattata, a Charmander, the really sad looking Charmander in the rain, a Pansear, Pikachu, a reverse hollow Sandygast, and an eventful Leedian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but
How much health?
90, so
Okay. So I got an Evolutions pack. I don't think there's an energy on these ones. They're just kind of placed randomly in there, I think. So,
I'm
sorry,
still going to
Ian.
say water.
I want to say Steel.
Ooh, white code. So we got a Metapod. Got a Professor's Oaks hint. Coughing. Ponyta. Tangela. Got a Weedle. Sandshrew. Ghastly. Our reverse hollow is a Professor's Oaks hint. Same thing. And a hollow Hitmonchan. That thing's beautiful, actually. So again, sorry Jill, but I'm going to take the pack battle for this week. Alright, so those were our card openings of the week. We got a good amount of packs for the future weeks, so stay tuned for that. But alright, we're going to roll into what did Jirachi do this week? You want to start us off, Jill? You got anything?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's pretty consistent with his walks. The only thing is he likes to chew on my shoes, and it's a little annoying sometimes, and sometimes it's my pants, and it just gets really weird. Like, there's one time this guy and his son were playing like lacrosse in their front yard, and I was taking him on a walk, and he started pulling my sweatpants down because he thinks it's fun to chew on them, and I had to have him like attached to me, like walking to keep going. And yeah, it's like anything I do, he just does not stop, and it's really just me. I mean, he doesn't do it to Keegan. He just does it to me and my gray like sneaker shoes that I wear when I take him on a walk.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this guy, but I mean, I'm a witness. Every time we're going on a walk, he just can't get away from Jill's feet, and it's like, come on, man, look ahead, enjoy the walk. Why are you biting feet, you know? But I just wanted to say, this guy has a strange obsession with big hairy guys in flip-flops. And what I mean by this is, for an example, my dad, he's always wearing flip-flops. He's a bit on the heavier side. No offense, Dad. And he's, got some hairy legs and feet. But for some reason, Jirachi is more in love with him, it seems, than the rest of the family, just because, I don't know, he's a big guy. And then our neighbor, who also is a big hairy guy and always wears flip-flops, he is in love with him too. I don't know if it's because Jirachi thinks he's gonna turn into one of these big guys with flip-flops, but I just
Probably.
wanted to say that he has a weird obsession with big dudes with hairy legs and flip-flops. But yeah, that's it for Jirachi and what did he do this week. So we're gonna head into our last segment of the day. We got Gotta Catch 'em All Pokemon Products. And I'm actually going to start off this week with the Battle Academy box. I know this came out a little bit ago. It was an exclusive to Target when it first came out. I know it came out in Target a bit before it did everywhere else. But I thought this was just an amazing product because it's almost like bringing the Pokemon TCG game as a whole into like a board game sense. Like I bought this, let's say, about a month and a half ago, and I introduced it to my family, and it was awesome. We started breaking into tournaments, and everybody was just having a great time battling. My dad actually bought his own deck to throw into the Battle Academy. He ordered a deck on Amazon, and that was a lot of fun because, it's just a theme deck that matches well with these other decks. And then it's just been, a pretty big influence on my family. My sister even has her own deck, and she's a youngin, but I'd like to get her more evolved into the Pokemon training or trading card game as well. But yeah, I just thought this box was just something awesome for my family as a whole, just because it brought us all together, and I put more of a, interest on them for Pokemon, and it's awesome. My dad's always online on PTCGO, and he's always building decks or asking for help or opening packs on there and asking me what's good. So, it's fun that my dad and my family members are getting more involved with this little Pokemon journey. So, yeah, that's my product of the week. What do you got, Ian?
So, the Pokemon product I chose for this week would actually be a set of three different products, technically. And so I chose the Champions Path pin collections for the Hulberry Gym, the Stow on Side, and the Sirchester, Kirchester. Not too sure how to say that, but hopefully I'm not butchering it too hard. And so the reason why I chose these three products is because one, they seem relatively cheap, um, especially the Hulberry Gym, seeing as you get. So for Hulberry Gym, you get three normal Champions Path packs, as well as a very solid Dreadnought card. And then the whole point of these packs as well, or these boxes, would be the pins themselves. So you can start to collect your own little gym badges as well. So that I'm a big fan of. But I do also like the Kirchester, I hope I'm saying that right, one as well, simply because there's a nice Colossal card, and Lapras isn't too awful. It's a nice little standard card, so you can throw that into your water decks here or there, but from what I understand, Champion's Path is really desirable right now. So the fact that you can purchase them, actually, I just noticed, and two of them are out of stock. The fact that you can purchase one of them is nice. So you can also get not only a pin, but you can get a nice starting card that is going to fit into your deck nicely, and you can get a couple extra packs for Champion's Path itself.
I actually had a question for you about these pin packs.
Yeah.
So, as you and I both know, I have Pokemon Sword and you have Shield. I'm seeing on the description of the Sirchester or Kirchester, whatever it is, It says, when you visit the gym, you'll find either a place of rock-steady resolve led by Gordy and his Colossal, or the coldest gym in the Galar
Galar.
region led by Melanie and her Lapras. So, I know you have Shield. Are our gyms different?
Yes, there's I believe two times where that takes place. So in your game you get the rock gym leader, and in my game I get the ice gym leader. So I'm not 100% sure if this is the first ice gym leader. I don't think it is, but she's one of if there is another, I think it's only one more. So that's interesting as opposed to, there's a lot more rock gym leaders throughout all of the games. I believe the other time where it happens is it's either the seventh or eighth gym leader, wherein
I think it's the same one you picked as well, the Stow on side one. Yeah, because I don't remember seeing that scary girl, but I do remember the one on the left there.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this ghost type gym leader because I didn't play the game, so I'm just a little spooked.
Should just give you some creepy vibes there. Yeah, I was only wondering because I saw that description and then I'm on my second playthrough of Sword and I was confused because everybody's posting pictures of this scary trainer or gym leader, but I had no idea where it was actually from, but now I know, so thank you. All right, Jill, what do you got? What are you bringing to the table?
I'm actually really excited about this. It's a Japanese Pokemon product. Yeah, so you already know it's gonna be pretty cool. It's a Shiny Star V trainer box. It's obviously from the Japanese Pokemon Center online. And with this trainer box, you get 20 packs, 20 Japanese booster packs of, I guess, the Shiny Star. And then you get card sleeves. You get 64 card sleeves, a deck case, a Pokemon coin, and a card box. And it's based off of Nessa, the one of the trainers in the game. And yeah, I think it's so cool that they're coming out with this thing. There's a date. There's a couple dates that they have mentioned on their website. They have a reservation period from October 4th to November 19th, so you can still get it now. And then I believe it's going to be released on the 20th of November, but you never know if it's going to get sold out. So this is a pre-order, and it says it's scheduled to be shipped from early December, but this is coming from Japan, so if you are from, the United States or any other country, you're going to have to go through a third-party site to buy it. Me and Keegan have gotten stuff from the Japanese Pokemon Center, and it ships relatively quickly. It's White Rabbit Express, and we should probably talk about that in another episode because I think there's some really nice things that we've gotten from here that you can't get through the website itself. You have to, like I said, you have to order it again, but yeah, I really like the look. I really like the look of the sleeves and the box. And the coin's really cool too. I like that they have a coin, with the trainers on it. And I like when they do stuff with the trainers instead of just doing Pokemon theme things, they do other stuff as well.
Yeah, so I actually ordered the when the legendary heartbeat box was more poppin'. I got the Marnie trainer box, which was exactly like this one. I got a good amount of stuff. They give you like 10 packs in the trainer box, and then you get a full booster box on the side. So that was a lot of fun to open. Japanese sets are always a lot more fun to open. I love the look to them. I love how they don't have the big yellow lines, and it's just a lot of fun opening them because you're usually going to get some goodies, especially from that last set I opened. I don't know about this one, but to continue the hype on this set, look at all these shiny Vs. Shiny Ditto looking so cool. A purple Lapras. Like, come on. The Toxtricity is red. Like, I'm excited for this set. I can't wait for it to come to America. And I know a lot of people are excited about it just because it has another shiny Charizard. And it's going to be a VMAX. So keep your ears and eyes open for that one, kids, because this shiny VMAX is going to be the main story of Pokemon once it finally comes to America. Even before, I know people are going to be hunting for the Japanese ones too.
I also wanted to add before we finish off, the price for it goes for 12,430 yen, which is about equivalent to 117 US dollars, which is pretty fair price for what I think that you're getting in this trainer box.
Oh, for sure. And like as you can tell, these trainer boxes definitely one up ours in America. Just because, come on, 20 packs, that's a lot. And then, you get the nice card box with it. They don't do that. And then you get a little coin too. So some bonus stuff as well as your main awesome items. But yeah, I think that's a show. Before we end it, I just want to shout out our Anchor site. You can support the show there. It's anchor.fm/PokeNoobPodcast. We'd also love if you guys sent some listener emails. We were really hoping for one this episode, but it's all right. We're still waiting. Just know that we're going to open and read those emails on the next episode if we happen to get any. But our email is pokepodcastmon@gmail.com. That's POKE podcastmon@gmail.com. And then I also wanted to mention we're on so many platforms now. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on podcast networks I didn't even know about, Pocket Casts, Radio Breaker, or something like that. So make sure to check us out wherever you can because we would really love it and appreciate that. We've been appreciating all the support, even the little bit of it that we get. So thank you for that. But before I end the show, is there anything you guys want to say, Ian?
No, I mean, I think this is a good way to wrap it up. We covered a lot of really interesting stuff today, and I've learned something new yet again.
Heck yeah, it's the goal here. What about you, Jill?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, every week we're always learning something new as a group. And like I said last week, I'm always excited for the next episode and what we're going to be talking about.
So yeah, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.